Okay, so here we are. Oh, sorry about the camera angle. We decided to make another video. I personally found the first one the funniest that I've made yet, but we'll see how the rest of the videos turn out. Here I am with my mom. We are just going to talk about the worst video games that we have ever played. Now, in my opinion, the Monsters Incorporated game that we played back when I was, I was like a teenager or something like that, that game was garbage. We rented it from a local rental place, and I beat that game. They said it had something like 80 hours of gameplay or some crap like that, and I beat it multiple times in the day and a half that we had it. Sorry about the thumb in the frame. Just trying to get it centered. But you know what? Another one that... Okay, so it was one of the better games that I actually played, but it had a poor listing on how many hours of gameplay there was, and that was Tales of Symphonia.
Oh, I like that game.
The first time that we played it, it took us like 160 hours.
Yeah.
And then every time that we played it after that, we cut
Lowered.
like 20 to 30 minutes off of each
That's
playthrough.
not the subject we were supposed to be on because I actually love that game. That's one of my favorites.
That game was amazing. As everybody who has currently watched any of my pre-existing videos, worst game that I have ever played, or at least the game that I was the worst at, is Mario.
Oh, not me.
Yeah, no. I mentioned it in other videos, like how much it frustrated me that Richard, the guy who is in all the other videos with me, along with her, just savaged Mario, and I could not do it. I brought it up in the first video, and I'll go ahead and bring it up again. That the fact that you and Richard watched me play, you started, Richard took second, and I went the third round. And you guys sat there and watched me play and then asked me, how did you die right there? I have a unique skill.
I can remember asking you, how did you even die right there? That's not... What the
Yep, there was no reason to die there.
You couldn't.
No reason to die there. So I do have to give a hat tip.
So fireballs flew out of nowhere and whacked you in the side of your head.
I do have to give a hat tip to my version of Pitfall, which I brought up in a previous video. My version of Pitfall for the Atari. That's got to be one of the worst games that I've ever played. Along with, like I said in one of my previous videos, the second one airing, which is going to be airing in two parts. A part 1 and a part 2, and I can't remember, I believe it's in part 1 that I bring up Dolphin for Nintendo 6, or not Nintendo, for Sega Genesis. Great graphics, but the storyline wasn't there. The game was actually garbage.
Yeah.
Overall, it was some kind of abduction game based off of a dolphin. It was weird.
I don't know.
What would you list as your least favorite?
My least favorite?
Or at least one of them, because God knows we're going to keep
Twilight
talking.
Princess. Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. I hated that game. Hated it. There's not a better word. Hated that game.
That game was... it was rough. It was pretty rough around the edges, I'll give you that much.
I found so much in it so stupid and useless.
Right.
It wasn't that the game was hard. I played the game, I beat the game. That's not the point.
It was one of the few Legend of Zeldas that you actually beat. Most of them you watched me beat or helped me play through. Like I mentioned in my first video, she, during Twilight Princess, would open the book and go left. And I would try to go left. And she's like, no, it's left. And this was before we figured out that it was transposed. Yeah. So next thing you know, we're arguing. Because I'm trying to tell her that there is no door on the left. And she's like, no, in the book, there is a door on the left. And I've got my screen panning back and forth. I'm going, look, I'm fucking telling you. But then again, I was like 14 or 16 or something like that. So the second I dropped the F-bomb, now a whole new argument has started.
Oh, yeah.
Because we're both mad, and now we're swearing at each other, and there was no winning. There was no winning. There was no winning. But, another fucking garbage game that we played together. Another horrible game was, Oh, what was the one where we had to play? It was one of the Sonic games where you had to play through, and you had to occasionally go back to your whatever area and deal with the little like cute.
Oh, I know what game you're talking about, but I don't remember what
Was
it
that
was called. That
the,
was a shit game too.
no? It wasn't the director's cut. It wasn't the director's cut because the director's cut was. I mean, you had that, but it wasn't part of the focus of the game. It was one of the ones that we rented, and I mean, the game overall wasn't bad.
Yeah.
But that aspect, it wasn't really that good.
No.
And they implied that it was going to have some kind of greater effect on the game.
Yeah.
Let's see. Another one that I hated. Second.
Some of the things that I hate isn't the game necessarily so much as they make it appear like you need this for the game, and then you play it. And then when you play it through the second time, you find out you didn't even need to do that.
Yeah, you could have gotten through the entirety of the game.
You could have went through the whole game and beat it without ever having that item that it took you 5 lives to get.
Like,
and it's
unfortunately...
like, are you kidding me right now?
Unfortunately, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time is one of my favorite games of all time. But they do the same thing. So does Wind Waker, where they like... You have an empty slot in your inventory, and you know...
There's one of our biggest disagreements on a bad game. I loved Wind Waker.
Okay.
It was the fun effect of that game. I love that game. And it's one of the few Zeldas that I beat on my own and did completely, and I have beat it so many times, and I love that game. Because you don't have to follow the storyline all the time. You can just go wander around and do whatever the hell you want.
Well, yeah, but
and there's no timeline saying you've got to hurry up and do this. You have forever.
That is an incredibly unfortunate thing about Majora's Mask, and as I mentioned in the last, I believe I mentioned in both videos.
But I didn't hate Majora's Mask.
Might have just been the second one that I brought up. I have a tendency to stick to Legend of Zelda because it's one of my favorite game franchises of all time. But. So Wind Waker had its up points.
Yeah.
It really did. But it had a few down points as well. And honestly, I guess I would consider it in my top 5 or at least top 10 of Legend of Zelda games. Yeah. But there are so many games that I consider to be significantly better. Another fun one that was complete garbage was Monster Hunter for Game Boy.
Oh, yeah.
That puzzle solving.
Oh no.
No, you remember watching me play that. Like, oh my goodness. It was like some kind of mystery dungeon puzzle solving game, which was garbage.
Okay, I can't remember what this was called, but it was a Pokemon game. But it was a Pokemon game not for the Game Boys, like all of our...
But for the DSs, like Pokemon Mystery Dungeon.
Okay, Mystery Dungeon.
Might have been what it was called, because you didn't get to put a team
I hate that game. I hate that game so bad. It's just one of those games that pissed me off royally.
It had moments. I even bought the second edition for you.
Colosseum. That was another one I didn't... I liked it in some ways, but I didn't like some aspects of that game.
Pokemon Colosseum was the only way you could get certain Pokemon in certain games. And honestly, the storyline was really drawn out. But it wasn't the worst Pokemon game ever.
No, not the worst.
That would have to go to, like, the Pokemon Puzzle Solver or...
That one, bad.
You never actually played, I think it's called Hey You Pikachu. Oh my god, that game was garbage.
I never played that one you could play on your phone either. I refused.
Pokemon Go. Pokemon Go.
Would not do Pokemon Go. I was like, no.
Okay, so the draw to that game was the fact that it was you catching the Pokemon. You were the Pokemon trainer. Instead of you playing as the avatar that was the Pokemon trainer, you actually were So
the point was to get kids up and moving and out and
active.
Active, but the cheat that everyone used was they would go in the car and the driver would be driving along while their passenger was finding the Pokemon.
They fixed that very quickly because
I was like, oh my God, what's the point of this?
Because people were actually driving and playing it, which, I mean, as if walking around, we had several occurrences of individuals getting seriously hurt because they were walking and not paying attention. But you also have to, what they don't do when they bring up stories like this, like, I want to say that I brought up the Hitman thing at one point on one of these videos, but if I didn't, I'm going to go ahead and bring it up again. So, at one point, in the UK, Hitman 2, I believe it is, was completely banned. And it was because there was a murder committed from like a teenager to a teenager in a manner that is related to Hitman. Now, here's the real kicker. Here's the real interesting fact. The young boy who was murdered owned a copy of Hitman 2.
The one who did
Or not Hitman 2, it was Manhunt. Sorry, Manhunt. I'm talking about the wrong game, but I'm still on the same point. So Manhunt was what was banned in the UK. Okay. The boy who was killed owned a copy of Manhunt. The boy who did the killing didn't.
Well,
so much like with the whole the driving thing and the people walking into traffic or whatever. Yes, it did happen.
But it was stupid.
But you need to look at statistically how many people are playing the game versus how many people got hurt. Now, there are a lot of statistics we can look at because statistics are simply percentages. Yeah. And percentages are easy to work with if you know some rudimentary math like she does and I don't. So what it comes down to is you're not even looking at 25%.
Yeah, and that's...
25% of the players is a substantial number. And the people who got hurt while playing Pokemon Go, I mean, maybe I should do a little bit more research and maybe I might find out that I'm wrong, but still not 25%.
And that's small compared to the amount of people that were playing it.
Exactly.
25% of 100. Okay, that's
25.
But when you're talking...
what's 25% of 1 million?
That's still quite a few people, though. I mean, 25% is a pretty bad
That's why I'm saying it doesn't even reach 25%. To my knowledge, it's something like 6 or 7%.
Oh, well, that is nothing.
But you also have to take into account that it's not millions that are playing this game.
Yeah, that's true.
At one point alone, there were over 1 billion players.
I just know that I knew somebody at the time that game was really, really popular.
Right.
That, not even joking, his wife would be driving the car, paying attention to that game, and she would slam on the brakes in the middle of a road because there's a Pokemon right here. And it's
like I said, they did fix that.
What are you doing right now?
They did fix that. When you're in a car, the game will ask you, I haven't played it in a long time, but the game will ask you, are you driving? And if you say yes, you can't do anything. If you say no, you pretty much still can't do anything. Being in a car, I was playing Pokemon Go for a while, and are you driving? And I'd say no, and I still wouldn't get a whole lot. Couldn't really do much. I think it's been fixed even farther so because they don't want their fans dying. Well, because if their fans die, then they have no fans.
I think some of that was because you're moving too fast.
What they did was they smartphones. You have to have a smartphone to play Pokemon Go. Smartphones have a location detection on them. You can turn it off, but it does have a satellite location on it. Now, if you played that game, you had to have the location on.
Oh.
So that it would tell if you were, okay, so here where we live, restaurants. There are some restaurants or landmarks that have, the little things that you can interact with.
Yeah.
There's actually a Pokemon gym, like, a couple blocks away from us. Believe it or not, right next to A&D. It's actually on a church. Believe it or not, it's funny as hell. I got chased away at 3 o'clock in the morning. 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm over there. I'm playing. And I just got this bad gut feeling. So I head across the street. I'm standing in the Albertsons parking lot. I'm still close enough to it that I'm interacting with it. And I'm just playing with my phone. And these other 2 guys that I had met while looking for Pokemon are over there right outside. And this pastor comes out. Oh, he was so mad. He was so mad. He's screaming. And he's like, I'm fucking tired of you fucking kids playing this fucking game and interrupting me and my family's fucking sleep. You can get the fuck out of here or I'm calling the goddamn cops. And I'm like, oh, that's a pastor too. Like, he's dropping F-bombs. You guys should run. If you get a pastor mad enough to drop an F-bomb, like, oh, goddamn.
When that game was really, really popular.
But we've gotten completely off topic. We've got way off topic.
Yeah, we have.
Back to worst games. Off the top of your head, one of the worst games you've ever played.
Off the top of my head, one of the worst games I've ever played?
Yeah. It doesn't have to be like the worst game in like overall gaming opinion, but what was a game that you just fucking hated?
Oh, what's that thing? Oh, I know what it is. Oh, and I hate every game they put out in this series. That one where you're driving around and you're all gangster and you're killing...
Oh, Grand Theft Auto.
Oh, I hate those games. I hate those games passionately.
Oh,
I'm just
man.
like, the point of your whole mission is to bash hoes in the head? Are you really right now?
Not necessarily. Look, the Grand Theft Auto games do have their high points.
Just is like...
However,
one of the worst games. I mean, there's no real, as far as I can tell,
there is a story.
No real storyline that makes any sense on these games that's worth even playing. It's like, give me a storyline and I don't care about the violence.
So there is a substantial storyline.
Give me a storyline.
The graphics are a little sacrificed for the open world concept.
Okay.
But there is a storyline. Each one is a little bit different. Grand Theft Auto 3 was... We know a couple of young children who played it for a while.
Oh, yeah,
and I ended up confiscating that game because of things that were coming out of them.
Yeah.
And I believe
ratings on games are serious and you should listen to them.
Well, you should give them respect. I mean, I really think that if you want to deal with how children perceive media, and video games are just media.
Yeah.
I mean, you shouldn't have a small white child listening to music or watching movies where the N-bomb is dropped on a regular basis because that kid goes out and starts saying that. Anyways, we're getting on like social topics.
No, let's not get on that.
And I want to avoid that, but ultimately... these kids were playing Grand Theft Auto 3, and their media is it's an interesting. It's a beast of its own, and they weren't having conversations with their parents about appropriate and not appropriate. So I did confiscate the game, and I got a little backlash from the people that I know. But I have no problem with a child playing a game like that. If you're communicating with them. I mean, I've played some interesting games in my life. My parents were very, very strict on what kind of medias I was allowed to be exposed to because of
age appropriate
potential negative outcomes. But you have to really take into account the effect that it's having, and as you get older, it's really kind of whatever. You've already figured it out.
Yeah.
But these young people were they were doing and saying things like the game showed, and so I took it away from them, and both of their parents came back at me. I told them, I'll pay you whatever you paid for the game, but I can't. I can't.
I used to have a collection of their Grand Theft Auto
Right.
games
Oh,
because I confiscated them all the time.
I
I'd
still
just be like,
own-
no.
I still own their Harvey Birdman Attorney at Law and their copy of Star Wars Bounty Hunter 2 because that caused one of them to nearly get a broken nose.
Do you remember when we went into that kick on those Disney games? Now, those were some of the ones that, I don't know.
Worst games.
Worst games ever. And we went on
my
a kick
serious
of
opinion
playing those.
of what the worst
and
games...
It was like
I won't
Lion
even...
King.
Actually, Lion King for Super Nintendo was really fun.
What was it? Was it
Are you
Tarzan? Was it Tarzan?
Are you talking about Kingdom Hearts?
Oh, Kingdom Hearts. Hated that game. Here's one that I hated.
We will
that you're not
forever
gonna
disagree
believe.
on that.
Okay, you're not going to believe that I hate this game because you know how I feel about Mario and Luigi. And
Mario
he was telling
Sunshine.
the truth that I call him Luigi.
Yes.
Mario
Yes, I was.
Sunshine and Paper Mario.
Paper Mario was fucking amazing. What are you talking about?
I never liked that game.
Well, you never liked Final Fantasy either.
But Mario Sunshine has to be my least favorite Mario game. That
Well,
game
we
was
talked about
so
it in
ridiculous.
one of the previous videos.
Ridiculous.
That
It wasn't
there's
even
so
fun.
much stuff that happens in Mario Sunshine that
It
it's
was
it's
not
unnecessary.
fun.
It's unnecessary for the
You
storyline.
had to go do this in order to do that. And it had nothing to do with the story.
And I mean,
It's like the
So
guys
Legend
in
of-
Zelda that say go to the waterfall.
meet the old man by the waterfall.
Okay, for what point? Oh, meet the old man by the waterfall.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And no, so on a previous
That's not
video,
what I asked you.
on a previous video, I contributed
Hated
a
that.
statement that was made about Legend of Zelda to Legend of Neil, I think is what it's called. I was wrong. That statement came from a video, and I don't know who made it, but it's called A Legend of Zelda, A Pain in My Ass.
Yeah.
And it's an awesome video.
I haven't recorded some.
Total props to them. I've showed it to her. I've showed it to almost everybody that I know. Like I said, I don't remember who created it, but amazing video. Props to them. I've
One of my
loved it
favorite
for
things on that
years,
video.
but they do the whole. He walks into the cave and the woman's like, "Meet the old man at the waterfall," and he's like, "All right, that's cool, but have you seen the entrance to an underground tunnel?" And she's like, "Meet the old man at the waterfall," and he continues to ask her questions. She becomes more firm, and he straight up says, "Welcome to something about Steve Irwin," and here comes the Stingray bitch, and stabs her. Little too soon, but oh my god, that guy, now he has a direct IV to fucking funny, if you ask
Isn't
me.
that the video where he calls the villagers
Knuckle dragging inbred retards?
I love
Yes.
that.
He's
part of
sitting
that
at a bar
video. I'm
talking
like,
to Mario.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, that
So
guy. I
the
wish
thing.
I wish I could remember who made that video because I would
I
totally
love the-
shout out on it.
I
But
love the
it's
Mario
funny.
part in that one where he's like,
If it wasn't for hairy Italian plumbers and
where he goes on the
if
rant
it wasn't
about
Princess
Princess Peach,
if it wasn't
man.
for helpless princesses, hairy Italian plumbers like me and fairy boy sword wielding somethings would never get any, huh? And they like
pretty much.
Oh no. Another one that I thought was a horrible fucking game. I mean, I got so angry at it, and I talked about it in one of our previous videos, was the Addams Family game.
Yeah.
Where you had to, like, write down the 37-digit code, I think is what I called it in the previous video.
Yeah.
And then it wouldn't bring you in where you were. It would bring you into the beginning of the game with not as much stuff. And Crystal Chronicles.
Yeah.
Oh my god. So I loved Crystal Chronicles, don't get me wrong. But as far as Final Fantasy games go, that game was kind of shit.
I really didn't care for Crystal Chronicles. I really didn't. And
Well,
I was
yeah.
the first one to go outside of the bubble.
Yeah.
I was like, screw
and
this
then
shit.
fucking die.
I'm going to run out there and get this. And a lot of times I made it back. Don't get me wrong. I had a good cue on how long I could be out
I want
there.
to say the worst thing about Crystal Chronicles is that I was the...
What the hell?
I was the tank. I was the damage dealer. I was the one who got up in it while you performed magic or healing or whatever like that, which was, honestly, I never understood why you wanted to play that role. You always wanted to play that role. And, I mean, I appreciated it, don't get me wrong.
I could choose to make my healer a fighter too. So that when I wanted to hang back, I didn't have to be on the front line. But if I wanted to go on the front line...
No, you were there.
Oh, you think this healer can't do anything else?
But she would hang back and I would just get in it. Which is why we gave me the first set of miasma-resistant armor, and I think that was a mistake, because that's about the point that we stopped playing the game.
Should have given it to me because I was crazy and liked to go outside into the miasma. Because look, it's right there. I can just go grab it. We won't have to stop what we're doing. It's right there. It's right there. And then, of course, I'd go out there. You'd be like, don't go. And I'd be like, no,
well, because
I'm
you
going.
had less HP than I did. I could go out there and I could kill something.
It's pissing me off.
But you, on the other hand, you would go out there and you get all kinds of backlash. Yeah. And you also didn't have the defense or the HP. I mean,
I was just crazy. And
I was the frontliner, so
I wanted to do it. I was like, I'm tired of this.
But honestly, as far as Final Fantasy games go, I thought Crystal Chronicles was pretty bad.
Yeah,
it really did.
Pretty not okay. There were too many. You have to go do this, and then it turned out you didn't have to go do that, and then it was like, why'd you have me go do that? Meet the old man by the waterfall.
Yeah,
kind of answers. I mean, I will go back to that numerous times. Too many times it did one of those lines like meet the old man at the waterfall. And then, when you did meet the old man at the waterfall, it turned out you didn't need to meet the old man at the waterfall.
Now, you realize because we had no preparation for this, like we had no scripting, no preparation, that we're kind of in this video and like 20 minutes later, we're going to be kicking ourselves in the ass because why didn't I think of bringing up that game? It's happened to me every single fucking video that we've made, but...
We're going to probably be recording more than one just to get what we want as content into one, because we're going to be like, why did I just sit there and not say anything when that was right there? That was right there. Why wasn't I saying that? And I mean, I know one that I loved that you hated, Wind Waker. I love that game. He hated it.
Okay,
He hated Wind Waker. I loved Wind Waker.
I didn't hate Wind Waker. I spent hours upon hours of Wind Waker. Favorite games,
mostly because I pushed you into it because I wanted to play it.
Well, no. When I sold my pig, I purchased the GameCube and the Wind Waker. I traded in my Super Nintendo. Biggest regret of my life. I bought Wind Waker. And I was the first one to beat it.
Yeah.
I also went through and 100% of that game. Like, I worked really hard at it. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Wind Waker's a garbage game. Because it's not. But
I always frustrated you with how much of the extras I wanted to do, though. I wanted to go through and do everything in the game because I loved it. And you were like, can't we just skip this right now? Because it's like non-essential. And I was like, no, we can't skip that. I like that part.
Well, what frustrated me is that you would come across things that you needed a certain item for. And I didn't want to ruin the game for you by being obsessed. You need to get the little like leaf thing that he glides with. And you would be like, I can do it.
As I ran off of a cliff and died. Was that one of those moments?
How many times are you going to attempt to fly off the cliff before you realize that you need to get the little mango to sit on your head for the seagulls?
Okay, what can I say? I'm stubborn.
You're persistent. I'll give you that. Like,
I'm stubborn and I'm a stubborn gamer.
Well,
So
oh,
if
no, yeah,
I
you are.
am determined that and sometimes I was right though. Sometimes I could do it.
Oh, yeah, no. Well,
And I proved you
we talked
wrong.
about it in one of the previous videos where I'm sitting with my uncle, and we bring it up where, like, he would drive me fucking crazy. He's trying to jump over the roof of a house. And I'm like, you can't jump over the roof of the house. And he's trying, and he's trying, and he's trying. And I'm getting mad. I'm like, would you just do what you're supposed to do? And then he jumps over the roof of the house.
And you're like,
and I'm like,
how'd you even do that?
All right, so everything,
What?
yeah, I'm completely wrong in that. Also, I'd like to make a quick correction on something that I said in one of the previous videos, and if I actually get an opportunity to say this in one of the upcoming videos, depending, I will cut this out. But Richard was right. 8-bit was NES.
Yeah.
16-bit was Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
32-bit was computer games and PS1. I made a clear mistake on that.
Boo-boo on that one.
Yes, a clear mistake on that. And then I was like, well, Nintendo 64 is 64-bit because Nintendo 64 is 64-bit. But I cut out one of the in-betweens. All right, so that aside, I just had to get that up in there.
It's so hard to remember least favorite or favorite games because I've played so many systems.
Right, and that's what I'm struggling with.
I mean, I go clear back to Atari and clear up to the newest game systems.
Oh, Atari.
I've played so many.
You played Atari. I forgot you
I played Atari.
And
I'll tell you a game on that.
Did you ever get to play the E.T.?
A game on that was pure crap. And so many people think it was such a great game. Because it was Pong. Dumbest game. You are hitting a little thing back and forth. And you don't even have to be paying attention to this game to win it. It was such a brain dead game.
In one of the previous videos, I bring up the fact that Pong...
Q*bert. Hard game. It was Mario hard.
Q*bert was a rough game.
I love that game. And I can win that game every time. Q*bert, one of my favorite games. Galaga, love that game. That was one of my favorites. That one was the one where you had the ship that went.
You know, it was kind of a garbage game that we did play. Digimon.
Oh yeah.
Digimon World 4, I think it was.
Yeah, that one was pretty garbage game. That one was pretty.
Monster
Rancher
3.
3. Now the first two weren't bad. 4 was good.
I don't think you've played the first two.
I played 2. I don't think I played 1. I played 4.
The ones that
and
we
I know
owned,
I played 3.
The ones that we owned were 3 and 4. And
3 was horrible.
4 was a lot of fun, but 3 was
trash.
Oh my god.
Now there's one we agree on. Because, I mean, you like Mario Paper, and I hated that freaking game. I hated that
You know what game you liked?
Everywhere.
1,000 Year Door.
Oh,
which was
did.
It was a Paper Mario. I hated that game.
Okay.
Oh my god, I thought that game was trash.
I have to admit, I did like that. That one I liked a lot.
Yeah, she hates Paper Mario, but she loves Paper Mario 1,000 Year Door. Fuck that
The
shit.
Sims games. We totally disagreed on which ones of those were good and which ones were bad.
I liked 1.
I don't. I hate 1. I hate 1. It's my least favorite one. I like Bustin' Out.
Busting Out was frustrating.
I didn't find it frustrating.
Frustrating as hell.
And I beat that game more than
also
any
because
other
you weren't okay, so we had this interesting agreement on Sims where, like, one of us would... We played these games a lot together.
Yeah.
I mean, I've probably logged more hours on Sims than I have on almost any other video game that I played outside of Monster Hunter.
Have to say the same here.
But we've
other than Mario, and yeah, I've logged some
Mario.
massive hours.
Well, I mean, if we
watch it with the Mario talk, Buster.
If we combine all of my Legend of Zelda games together, I have logged more hours on Legend of Zelda than on Sims by far, and I might have actually, at this point, maybe, because it's really hard to document, but I may have bested you, because I've beaten Ocarina of Time over 100 times.
I don't know.
I've also beat the majority of the ones that came out for handheld systems.
Okay.
Anyways, we're off topic. But with Sims, what we would do is one of us would get a job, and the other one would just focus on skills and keeping the house clean.
Yeah.
And with busting out,
I was a skill person. You were the one with the job.
With Sims busting out, I worked really hard. You would bring me in on your games.
Yeah.
To, make money and build skills and get things to happen because you weren't making it there's
the social part. I always hated some of the social things you had to do, and I was
early off in the game.
I don't want to do this.
You had to do a party. You had to throw a rager or some shit like that.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my god, I don't want to be friends with that many people.
You would hit that brick wall every single time.
Because I didn't want to make friends with all of them.
Yeah, well,
didn't want to make friends with all those.
They're mostly
people.
Assholes. But
what was that other one though? It was a Sims game, and it's newer than Busting Out.
Was it Herbs?
Oh, Herbs. Herbs was one of the ones that I didn't care for.
Oh, I love that game. I love
not
that game
like
so
that
much.
game. See, we disagree on a lot of favorites.
It was rough. Oh no, that do not count that as one of my favorites. That game was trash.
But that game was trash, totally.
But
trash.
I loved it.
I mean, the first.
You liked Herbs on the handheld though.
Yeah, I did. I have to admit, on the handheld, I liked it. Not on the. What system was that on anyway?
GameCube.
Okay, the one on GameCube, I hated Herbs. But on the handheld, yes, I liked that. I was good at that one. But Herbs was a trash game. I have to say, you're right. We do agree that it was not a good game. All the other... And here's the thing. I don't actually hate the first one of them. I just don't like it as much as I like Busting Out and the other ones. Just saying.
Sims 2 was one that
Sims 2 was pretty good.
We agreed on because there was a lot of meshing between the different Sims that we had played
and
the
I
different
guess
ones that we liked.
I'd have to say, if you were going to pinpoint my favorite of the Sims games, it would have to be 2. Not Busting Out. I
disagree. 2. I really liked 1. It was pure.
I still didn't.
You couldn't play it 2-player, so you didn't have that backup.
Why. That's probably part of why I didn't like it, was because there was never a 2-player option. So if I was playing it, you could not play it too.
So what we have to explain is that back when games were on the older end, like Mom was better at Mario. You got farther in Lion King, which was one of my favorite games as a kid.
Yeah.
You got farther in it. You got farther in the original, NES and SNES Final Fantasy games. You did better.
Because they were old school like me.
You did better at arcade games than I did, but once the game reality switched to the 3-dimensional, like Ocarina of Time. I
had to get used to
that. And
that.
then Nintendo 64, now I had the advantage.
Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man. Joystick, baby.
And what that turned into was...
I could manipulate that.
I didn't need... Well, most of the time I couldn't have her backup on the old school games.